I know your pet peeve is print front page ads which are in Hindi which go down south. I know that's your pet peeve.
Yes,
I see that come
yes.
up very often. I'm like, I know Karthik's got into one more of these.
It incidentally happened
And
today also, courtesy Flipkart, which said "Ab pura India karega upgrade," and the first thing I checked was the Chennai edition. Exactly
yeah.
same line, Chennai edition.
And I don't know, and maybe that's a good place to start. We would assume that in today's world that is almost a given. Why do you see that still not happening? Because would you say that our brands assuming that okay, everybody gets Hindi now, and we'll stick to that. Why create multiple versions? It can't be an oversight because it's been spoken about enough now over time that it can't be an oversight. So, what do you think the thought process is behind that?
To be fair, I should say that many brands have evolved to not use just Hindi and English script across all editions. It has definitely
Mm.
changed. Today's
Yeah.
Flipkart ad is probably an anomaly. It's an exception these days, actually, because
Mm.
earlier it
Mm.
used to be terrible. No brand used to care. They just have one single slogan in Hindi and they
Yeah.
write it in English script, which is actually the Roman script, basically. They write it all over India. One, probably it's a cost of creatives. You just have one single creative all across India and it's just easy. Then probably it's a more of a nuanced issue, saying if you have two languages and don't have the third one, those third
Mm.
people will feel offended and all that stuff,
Yeah.
basically. But I think many brands have changed, including large brands like Big Bazaar and Reliance. They have changed and they do customization across from a state to state level. So I'm very glad that it has changed.
Yeah.
I won't probably put myself saying I made this change, etc. I'm just one of the local voices, I mean, vocal voices to say that this need not be like this. There can be other ways to look at it. But I think many brands have changed. I think it just comes down to two things. One, cost of creatives. You need to
Mm.
have more creatives you need to do, and the coordination in terms of this edition, that creative, etc. That's one. But that most brands are already familiar with. For instance, there is always an address bar below which keeps changing. But the rest
Yeah.
remains exactly same address bar, and the dealers panel remains keeps changing basically. So if you can do that, you can also do some amount of change and create new changes. So that's not a problem. The larger problem, which has probably gone away to a large extent, is most ad agencies being concentrated either in Gurgaon or South Bombay. And they
Yeah.
don't look beyond their balconies at all. They know their
Mm.
language and they think ये तो चलेगा ना पूरा इंडिया ऑफ कोर्स हाँ ठीक है चलेगा बस हो गया that's it.
And that's actually, it's interesting you say that, right? And I remember a while back I was talking to a brand out of Bangalore, and this is about, I would say, 3-4 years ago, and they said the problem is that even if they're looking for an agency in, let's say, a Bangalore or even a Chennai, their worry is, will I get the same kind of talent
Yeah.
in these cities? Won't
Yeah.
I rather just get someone from a Bombay or a Delhi? And that often leads you down this path of finding that same cluster of people. I know that's changed now. I know a lot of people have moved to Bangalore, so that's really changed, I would say, the last 2 years. But the worry was that, is the advertising marketing, or rather advertising talent, really as spread out as we would want it to be? Or are we still stuck in being clustered around like these two cities? Because I know Hyderabad has a whole different problem. They just can't seem to find people. I know agency founders who are like, where can I find people? I'm like, I don't know how I can help you.
Correct. So I would say that's not as much a problem as even the Bombay and Gurgaon agencies being open enough and ego agnostic to work as partners with some of the South agencies just for the localization alone. Right now,
Mm.
they're just working with freelance translators. And
Yeah.
those translators literally transliterate. They don't translate the essence.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
probably they're not given the freedom to translate by the Bombay agencies who hold their ideas very close, their lines very close. The problem is they can't understand once it has been translated in Tamil or Telugu, they can't understand if this is the right variant or not. Because they know only Hindi and English. These
Yeah.
people know only Tamil, Telugu, and English. So there is a nice bridge which is not being bridged at all. But there are many agencies even down south which work with national agencies for translation, and all they
Mm.
ask for is trust us. We totally understand your Hindi line. We will do the
Mm.
best justice in Tamil or Telugu because we know the local
Yeah.
nuances better. So just trust us. All it requires is trust from that agency and the client saying, "Let's work together." That's about it.
Yeah. I have to give honest confession. I think there was a period of time at Glitch I was the only Telugu speaking person, So whenever a Telugu translation would happen, I've come to the point where we were like, I think we had 100 odd people, and a Telugu translation would happen, come to me, and I stopped. I would say written Telugu in like fourth standard or fifth standard, right? Because I moved to
Oh
Hindi as my
God.
second language.
Right.
So I'm writing something down. I'm calling my mother up. And I'm like, Ma, is this correct grammatically? And she would correct it. So literally at some point in time, I feel that my mother was on roll without being paid
Yeah.
to do Telugu translations.
But that's
Thankfully,
probably the
that
best way because she knows all the nuances really, really well.
exactly.
But it's not scalable. That's a problem.
Because people tend to Google, right? You'll Google what the word is, and that's always the
Yeah.
classical word, which is never the colloquial word, and you'll never really get
Correct.
that nuance.